will you just switch on the microphone?
I'm accompanied by my patients who are aggrieved, Mr. Buisile Pen, Mr. Pumezo Mtusando, my daughter Mantha Kazingumbela, and my patient Babalwa Skit.
All right, but you will be giving the evidence.
I will be giving the evidence, and they will assist me where they can, but they've also got their evidence to give.
All right, can I take your oath or affirmation?
All four of us are going to be speaking.
Yes, but I just want to ask you whether you will be taking the oath or the affirmation.
The oath.
Right, so, okay, will you say after me, I and your name?
I, Nonkosingumbela,
Swear that the evidence that I shall give
swear that the evidence that I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So raise your right hand and so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Who else is it? Should I start from my extreme left? So, what's your surname?
Pan, P-A-N.
P-A-N.
Ewe.
Yes, Mr. Pan.
Buisile Pan.
Yes, all right. Mr. Pan, will you take the oath? Yes, so say after me, I and your name.
I'm Buisile Pan.
Swear that the evidence that I shall give
The evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
Raise your right hand and so help me God.
Yes.
Say, so help me God.
Oh, help me God.
Thank you. And the gentleman next to you, what's your name? What's your name?
I'm Pumezo George Mtusando.
Mtusando. Okay, so Mr. Mtusando, will you say your name after me, I and your names?
I, Pumezo Mtusando,
Swear that the evidence that I shall give
swear the evidence that I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
If so, raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Is your daughter also?
No.
She's just accompanying. And then it's Miss Sikiti. So will you take the oath as well? All right. So will you say after me, I and your full names? Swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If so, please raise your right hand and say, so help me God. Thank you. Dr. Gumel, you can take us through. We have received your written submission. But you can
Yes, you have, but I've noticed that the pages are not complete. I had attached the letters from MedScheme. I think 4 letters from MedScheme, and I apparently the one had been missing. 4 letters from MedScheme, and I was supposed to have my pages are 123, but I see here that you end at page 105. So
But we do have letters from MedScheme.
no, I just gave you one that was missing, and then the contract from the specimen of the contract between IPA
Yes, that's
and
good.
myself. Those are the ones that I gave this morning.
Yes.
But because that one was missing a whole bunch of letters, there's 5 of them from MedScheme that I was supposed to hand in, but I handed in 4. I missed the one from Bonitas, and I don't see them here. There's only.
The letter from Bonitas, we've also,
You got that
Yeah.
one, which is the one I handed this morning.
yes, we
But
do
you're
also.
supposed to have two letters from MedScheme and from Bonitas of the 17th of March, 2018. 2 letters from MedScheme, from Bonitas, and the other medical is from April, and 1 letter in May.
All right.
You've got them?
No,
Okay. Because I did bind the papers that I sent, and I had sent them to you, but I don't know why they're missing.
all right, so just tell me the letters you think we are missing. What are the dates?
The 27th of March, that's a letter of verification of services from MedScheme.
So we've got the 27th of March from Bonitas, but you say there is.
No, that one I had not included in the pack. That's why I gave him this morning. But there's another one from MedScheme. The one that lists all the others, ACEI, PAMED, POLMED, MBMed, and so on. that, yeah? But it's I refer to it in my submissions. So on the 27th of March, I received 2 letters, one saying Bonitas, the other saying med scheme.
All right. What else do you say we're missing?
On the 17th of April, I received 2 letters that says payments to your practice. That's when they suspended my payments.
So we've got one from Med Scheme.
17th of April.
Yeah,
It's
and
page 1.
Bonitas, page 121 and 123.
Oh, you got them.
Yes.
And then there is one that says termination of services. That is 10 of May.
We've got that at page 125.
125. Okay, so it must be a separate folder. I'm glad you have them because we refer to them in this
All right.
letter. Oh, my name, as has been said, is Nonkosi Ngumbela. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a GP by profession. I qualified at Wits University in 1983, and I've been working as a GP in East London for the past 30 years. It is more than 30 years. And I've tried my best in all those 30 years to provide to the best of my ability the services to my patients, and that included protecting their privacy and their dignity. And the medical aides, especially, know that I'm black, because there's no correspondence that where they don't mention my name, and my name is obviously of a black South African. Whenever I phone and I press my practice number, it automatically brings up my name, so they know that I'm a black doctor. And I want to also describe my practice. My practice, I serve 100% black patients. 100% of the patients that chose me are black. And it's workers and their families, it's the elderly, the very sick, the unemployed. That is the majority of my workers. Of course, I've got professionals and politicians and so on in the mix, but the majority of my workers are the working class. And therefore, the medical aids they use will be in the lower options. For instance, Bonitas, I'll have the majority of them being on bond cap. With Discovery, in the 30 years, I've never seen, I hear there's Discovery Executive and Comprehensive. That those people don't usually use my practice. Most of my patients use Kike, primary care, Kike Plus. GEMS, most of my patients will use those options that are called Sapphire and Beryl. I don't have the Onyx. The Onyx is, maybe I have one patient on the Onyx. The others are on the lower option. And the lower options sometimes do not allow patients to go to visit private specialists. They don't allow patients to be admitted to private hospitals. But the surprising thing is that I once looked through the results of Discovery. They are the cash cows of the medical aids. They will say they didn't make money from the executive and so on, but they make money from Kike and Kike Plus. But because the lower options, you get a fixed amount. They will pay you 320 to 390, inclusive, everything inclusive. So you're getting paid for consultation, for consultation, for treatment, all the medication that you're going to use to give the patient, all the minor procedures, it's all inclusive. So you get a package, and they give them a limited number of visits per year. So that's most of my patients. So coding there makes no difference. You just get a round figure, and they agree they're going to pay this much per year. And so I've been practicing like this for 30 years. You grow with the practice. So as the time went, I ended up focusing mostly on chronic disease management. That is HIV, AIDS, diabetes, hypertension, cardiac disease. So that was my main focus. But of course, I say, and then the age group gets older as the more years you spend there. The children that used to play with my stethoscope when they were young are doctors now. Some of them are specializing, so I'll be referring patients to them. That's how a practice grows in our communities.
Dr. Ngubela, where exactly is your practice located?
It's located in downtown East London, what is called shabby part of town. But the patients come from the townships, they come from the villages. It's near taxi rank, so they come from those areas. So I'd never had any problems with medical aids. The relationship I had with MedScheme was that the contract you sign, you are an IPA foundation. There's an IPA foundation. Most doctors belong to that IPA, and they negotiate the contracts for you. So with MedScheme, like I showed this morning, the contract is negotiated by the IPA foundation on your behalf, and then with some of the medical aids, the patient has to choose a doctor. So you'll find that you are the only provider for that patient. They can change the following year, but the year they choose you, they can change every month anyway. If they but they can't change in the beginning of the month. So I was the only provider for some of the medical aids, like MB Med, where the patients chose me specifically. So I had no direct, like all doctors, no direct contract with MedScheme. The contract I had was with IPA, and there was an agreement that there would be peer reviews. There would be, they mentioned about coding, what structures should happen. They mentioned the consent in the contract, the consent to give clinical information where there's red flagging, to give the clinical information to a clinical committee, not to a man sitting in Johannesburg whose health qualifications in the field we do not know. So,
Dr. Ngubela, can I just ask you a question about IPA, just
Yes.
to make sure we understand correctly? So, is this IPAF, the Independent Practitioners Association Foundation?
That's
Okay, they've given evidence in this hearing, so we do know a bit about them, which is helpful. But then can I just check, so your evidence is that they entered into, well, they negotiated the network agreements on your behalf.
yes.
Are these the network agreements that you refer to at
Those
paragraph?
are some of those that I could get, because unfortunately, during the time when this happened, Mr. John Johnson was heading.
Just a moment, I just want to check I understand correctly. If you could turn to the bundle in front of you,
Yes.
page 12, please.
Okay, they didn't give me the new bundle, but is the net group one, or is it the one that says Bonitas Medical Scheme?
I think it's the one under your left arm with the
Oh,
bulldog
this one,
type, yeah,
page 12.
page
Oh,
12.
it starts with page 527. Oh, you want me?
So just page 12.
Okay, yes.
Are those the network agreements listed at paragraph 23 that you're referring to?
MedScheme, these are MedScheme administered medical aids, and they fall under those contracts.
So these are the agreements that IPAF negotiated?
Those are the agreements. Unfortunately, Mr. John Johnson, who was heading our border IPA and doing a good job, passed away just during this time. Passed away in February 2018, when this problem started. So when I phoned his office, he wasn't there. I had to phone Pretoria. I got Sophia, and they tried to intervene, as you will hear later.
Okay, thank you. Let me not take you off track.
So in February, I didn't know the medical aids were doing this, so I was completely taken by surprise. February 2018, my payments were withheld. I thought it was a technical error. I waited a month, and when I had to pay bills, and beginning of March, I started phoning medical aid, MedScheme. I was sent from pillar to post. Eventually, I even spoke to Mr. Reynant, and he sent me the big guy. Was this Mr. Divan? And he just says, he sent me, then they sent me the letters on the 27th of March after withholding my payments. As you can see there, they say they've suspended me. They want me to give them everything, that complete copies of complete member and dependent files. That's all the 30 years, some are 20 years, 30 years. And they wanted records for those dependents and codes. I use only one code, consultation. Even if I put drips, I do that a lot. I give oxygen. we're not so sophisticated there. I use one called consultation, so I do not know why they had this. And they said, according to a contract, Regulation 15.2, and according in terms of the contract entered to in pursuant of Regulation 15A, the beneficiary contract they mentioned is the one for the IPA, where we're termed to be beneficiaries. But there specifically it says that information must be given to a team, a committee of healthcare professionals, not somebody I don't know. When I phoned him, I asked, "Are you a doctor? Are you a healthcare professional?" He said he's a doctor. But I don't have a transcript of it. He said, "Yeah, I'm a doctor." But he didn't care. He was just offhandedly throwing anything at me. Of course, I was cross.
Who are you referring to now?
Mr. The man who made Mr. Divan Fleming.
Is it a man?
Yes, he is a man because I spoke to him. Mr. Devon, he's a man, and he's a white man. I'm running a black practice with black patients, and this white man who represents MedScheme, but still he is white, that means a lot. He comes and interferes in my practice and says, I'm withholding your funds. When I refused to give him clinical notes of my patients, I got a payment because IPA intervened. I got a payment, that was the last one, around about early April. Then I got the second letter in April, in which she said, I owe them because I'm working with Dr. Ngcukaitobi, which there's no such doctor.
Sorry, just tell me, have you now subsequently established whether or not Mr. Fleming is a doctor?
I phoned around and they said, no, he's not a doctor, Mr. David Fleming. He was lying to me, he didn't care.
Yeah, but he told you he's a doctor.
He told me he's a doctor, and then I phoned MedScheme to find out if he's a doctor in forensic units. Said, no, he's not a doctor. Other people said, no, he's an accountant and a forensic accountant. My colleagues were advising me now to cooperate because these people can do bad things to me. So I'd rather cooperate, and I said, but I couldn't bring myself to cooperate because I thought his activities were criminal because he withheld my payments without my with unlawfully.
So, I mean, if obviously MedScheme is still going to give evidence.
Yes.
But if it's established that he lied to you when he said he's a doctor but he wasn't, that would mean that he did the investigation under false pretenses.
He told me, and there must be a transcript of that conversation. It was telephonically. Because I asked him, if you want my patient's records, are you a doctor? He said, yes, I'm a doctor, but he just didn't care. He said so.
Do you have the date on which you had this telephonic conversation with him?
I will come up with a date. I've got too many papers because I was asking for help left and right. I will have the date. I think it's either before the 27th of March, on the day of the 27th of March, or before the second letter, because there would be action after each letter on the 17th of April. And so the second letter came in which they claimed that I was working with Dr. Ngcukaitobi and that my practice refused to provide the scheme with any patient records. If I can go back, I phoned all those patients, there were 9 in all because there were 4 and 6, but one overlapped, 9. I phoned, they were cross. No, who is that? We never gave him any permission to get your records and so on. So and don't ever give anybody our records. That's what my patient said. But then I also didn't agree with what he said, so I didn't communicate that with him. And the way he was communicating with me was, he just took it for granted that I would comply with his request. There's no Dr. Ngcukaitobi that I know of. The reason he gave for is that I was working with Dr. Ngcukaitobi. And
Wasn't that just a combination of the two surnames of your two locums? Because there's a Dr. May and another doctor, Dr. Ngcukaitobi.
I was giving him credit because I didn't know any Dr. Ngcukaitobi. But because if I'm Ngumbela and he's Mtusanto, you can't call us Ngumbela Mtusanto in one word. No capital Ngumbela Mtusanto. You have to say Dr. May and Dr. Kunyuza. They're two different. So it just shows how offended he was treating this whole thing. That
But I mean, let us assume that he was confusing the names of your locums. Let's be generous
Okay.
towards him.
Okay, he called my locums May Kunyuza, but as you see in my submission, those are two different people. Dr. May is separate from Dr. Kunyuza, and they both work at my practice, like I have a lot of other locums that work for me. I used to have, anyway, before this whole thing, because I used to open 7 days a week, and I would get other locums, because my patients, I couldn't go to emergency with their low-cost medical aids. I thought I was providing a service, and I had to close. So Bonitas wanted 44,000 from me. The others wanted 65,000 from me. Now, when I was hearing people giving evidence, why did they separate the two amounts? Maybe so that they do not form 100,000.
Before we get to the Bonitas and a separate amount for Bonitas, in the letter, the 17, I think it was the 17 April letter,
Yes.
where they said you owe 65,454.
Yes.
They calculated this as a result of a 5%. They said that this number makes up a total of 5% of the claims that you made during a particular period, okay? And that they said the above mentioned schemes, and the schemes are PolMed, FedHealth, MBMed, PARMed. There's a whole group of schemes.
Yes.
They said the above mentioned schemes have been affected,
Yes.
and that they are holding you liable for this amount.
Yes.
Did they break down that 65,000, etc., into each scheme? So how much of that was what you owed to
No.
PolMed? How much of it was to FedHealth?
No, they were not interested in that.
So it was one global amount
One
that they were claiming on behalf of several schemes.
It was just a thumbsuck. And they didn't care. They didn't care for my patients. They didn't care for my good name. They didn't care for anything. And then IPA decided to not respond to my calls now. Of course, I went from door to door. I went to SAMDP. I joined several groups. I tried to go to lawyers, but the amounts of money that I had to pay up front, I could not afford. So I waited. After on the 10th of May, they said, without prejudice, they're cancelling my contract, meaning they're blacklisting me now. What bothers me about this blacklisting, me working in my community, I didn't mind if they paid directly to the patient. Why did he not give that option? Because I know most of my patients would have come back and paid me. He didn't, as you will hear from my patients, he never approached any of my patients except MBMed, who in June, wrote an SMS to their patients that find another doctor now. Dr. Ngumbela is out of our contacts. And I wrote to them again in June. I said, life as a demeni, it was the same thing. They broke contracts, but at least they gave them 3 to 6 months before they moved the patients. With the private sector, with MedScheme, there was no warning. They just told patients in the middle of the month. And patients pay upfront for that month. He tells me on the 10th of May that he's cancelled my contract. Patients cannot change doctors until end of the month, the following month. So he's stealing my patients' money from the 10th to the 3 weeks of my patients' money, where they cannot go to any doctor. Whereas he's taking that money and said he was not going to take me. I thought that is theft. Besides the theft of the money that he took from me, he thieved money from my patients. And some of those patients, I got a list from AFA. I said I was managing med schemes, about 300 patients on AFA. 71 have yet not chosen a patient, meaning 71 are untreated with HIV, and we know there's consequences to that. 71, they didn't even bother to use the money to follow the patients and assist them to get doctors. They just cut off, didn't care for them, and you will hear from my patients what happened. And I wrote to them, I said, be careful of what happened to S59. And indeed, one of the nine patients they gave me, when I phoned her to say there is an inquiry, she was so cross with me that I left her. Now she had a stroke because I couldn't give her hypertension medication. I was trying to get her daughter to come and explain, because I don't know what happened when she doesn't want to talk to me. That is what happens, the consequences of the actions of Medskin. My second part of the presentation is about my patient.
Dr. Ngcukaitobi, just so I understand this evidence correctly, because
Yes.
the letters are not entirely clear. So it's your evidence that from the 10th of May, no one was being paid. The practice was not being paid and the patients were not being paid.
Yes, but still they said it officially. But from the date they paid me in April, they never paid me again. But from the 10th of May, they said officially they've cut off ties with me.
And then when did it happen from what date did it happen unofficially?
The last payment was in April. I think it was the 16th of April.
Sorry, I thought that you were suspended from February 2018.
And then IPA intervened, and I got a payment on the 16th of April. And then after that, IPA couldn't do anything anymore. They just send messages. They're still busy with this, but I think they were powerless. And anyway, they get their funds from the medical aids to manage to clinical.
You say there were 71 patients with HIV. All of them were HIV positive, or what exactly?
They're on treatment. You see, I wrote to AFA, I wrote to Solutio. With MedScheme, those that have HIV are managed by a program called Aid for AIDS. Those that are on other chronic illnesses are managed by a program called Solutio.
Now, I just want to understand this number of 71.
271.
271.
Those, the number of 71,
Yes.
I couldn't bring the data. They only send me the data now because I phoned them and said, please send me again the patients that I've registered from MedScheme in AFA. There was a number of close to 300. Some have found new doctors now, but 71 are still without doctors.
But this 71, you said there were 71 patients
without doctors.
Without doctors, okay. But they may be having chronic illnesses.
They have AIDS.
They have
these
HIV,
are
HIV positive. Okay.
HIV positive patients
I see,
that were on the program. 71, as far as the document they gave me in July when this started.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to clear it up. So what's their position right now as we speak? They have no doctor, no medical aid.
They do have the medical aid.
Yes.
The medical aid has benefited a lot because some of those patients haven't chosen a doctor yet. Yes. Because I didn't know that it's, even me, I knew there was a point, I didn't know it's so difficult for a patient to go and start another doctor. Some of them, I am the one who had to beg them or find doctors for them. Try this one. It was really difficult, which is, so some of them, up to now, who were being managed by me, still do not have doctors. Even if you read the letters, they will say, I haven't had any medication. I've now defaulted my medication from the letters that I included in my submission.
And this is since when?
Since May of 2018.
Yes. And why are they finding it difficult to find a replacement doctor?
Can we go to the letters? when we were told to present to, when we were told that we can make submissions, I asked my patient, because some of them are still coming and not bothering me, but coming and crying to me. So I said, okay, write submissions, those who can quickly, because it was a short notice. So I think I handed in 46 submissions. And of those 46 submissions, I was looking at them. The main complaint is that people feel comfortable with their doctor. People do not want do not like to move. I've got letters there. People do not like to move to other doctors. And then also, I didn't know how much pain the whole process is of going to another doctor, but I've marked some, this is killing me. Some of the patients are saying, I don't know, this make me sick and I think it will end up killing me. That's page 109. I feel very, some say, I totally unhappy and disagree. These are some of the statements that my patients wrote about the pain.
Yeah, I mean,
that
there's one at 62, Ongiwe Cable Joe, who says that she has been a patient for 20 years and she doesn't understand why she must abruptly change.
Yes, and having been a GP for so long, obviously I've got people who've been with me. I think some of my patients will tell you, the patients that I brought are people that the first 3 patients that I called yesterday on short notice, all 3 of them will tell you, I told them yesterday morning when I was told I could bring patients. And some are men. I was shocked at how it was very painful, very hard to bear. One is saying what happened to them with the medical aid, and what their medical aids did when they just said stop seeing this doctor. What right has it got to inflict such damage to his med scheme, including this Mr. Divan, with such glee? Because these patients were going up and down, and my patients don't have cars. They have to walk down. They get told this, they go back to the medical aid offices. With such glee, they are told that, ask her what she did. I was hurt so much that there was nothing I could do, one patient says. And I don't mind if they punish me. What about our patients? Somebody needs to go to jail for this.
What did you do actually from this position of med scheme? What do they say you did?
I worked as a group practice with May Kunyuza, and I refused to give them that letter that I gave to give them patient records. That is what I did.
And it was 6 patients, records for 6 patients?
No, 4 with bonitas.
And 6
with, but all in all is 9 because 1 is overlapping.
I see.
4 with bonitas and 6 with.
And you say you contacted those patients to ask for consent, and they
yes,
declined?
6 of them I got on time to write affidavits. So of these affidavits, 6 are from those patients.
They wrote affidavits to say that they did not want to consent to their records.
Yes, and some are saying that how they feel disrespected by their medical aid to stop them. 6 of those 9 patients, the one is the one who had a stroke, who's really cross. The 2 I couldn't get hold of. I think 1 came, but he couldn't write, and he was supposed to come. So, but all 9 of them were willing to write, and 6 of them are in here.
And what was MedScheme's response? Did you tell MedScheme that the patients were not willing to provide consent to disclose their information?
Yes, but yes, I said so. First, I said, how can they ask me? I'm a professional, to round up my patients as if they told me what I'd done. Round up my patients, get consents for somebody who's not a healthcare professional. Go and give him. I mean, like at that stage, I was angry. When I spoke to other people, they say I must go and beg. When I phoned others, I must go and beg this Divan, really, who seems to be the ringleader of the criminals.
What was his response, though, when you told him that they
He,
were...
he doesn't care. He didn't care at that time. I don't know, because it's quiet about him now. He didn't care. It was a victory for him. Each one of us. That my patient will tell you, she went to another doctor. That doctor was from St. Mark's Clinic for the same thing. The doctor that she was going up and down town trying to find another doctor.
Can I just go back to the 71 patients who have HIV and who currently don't have doctors?
Yes.
What are they doing?
Defaulting.
What do you mean? Could you just explain their position?
Defaulting, you'll read in the letters, many are saying, I've defaulted now, meaning that they are without medication. They are without medication. Every 6 months you have to do blood tests, every 6 months. I do not know what they do, but if they are not being seen by doctor, they don't have a doctor, obviously they're defaulting.
And by defaulting, you mean they're not taking
They're
any
not,
medication?
yes, they're defaulting treatment.
And what's
and
the
you-
consequences of defaulting on ARV medication?
Illness and death. Illness and death. I don't know why they don't worry about hospital admissions sometimes, because the reason why eventually they agreed to roll out ARVs was because it's supposed to cost more to treat in hospital than to give ARVs. But even while I was still on the program, you'd find that they would have reluctance. I would have to fight for them to change to a more expensive medication, and the patient ends up being hospitalized again and again. So I don't know why it's better for the patients to be hospitalized, or they know that the patient will stop working and leave medical funds, then will get sick and die.
And did you ever consider just paying the amounts that they said you owed?
Never, no. No.
Just one other thing in relation to, and you do mention it in your affidavit. There were 2 letters on the 17th of April.
Yes.
One was from MedScheme, as I said, on behalf of a group of several schemes,
Yes.
including Bonitas.
Yes.
And on the same,
No, they didn't mention Bonitas on that. On the two separate occasions, Bonitas was not mentioned. It was Bonitas and then the others. When they had split the letters.
can we just have a look at that 17 April?
17 April, okay. Maybe I missed it. Oh, yes, they do.
The first one, which is on page 121, includes Bonitas.
Yes,
And then on page 123, on the same day, is another letter.
yes.
But this one is on behalf of Bonitas.
Oh, I didn't notice, yes. They just do what they don't care.
And that's for an amount of 44,000 odd.
Yes. Include the one that includes Bonitas is 65,000. The other one is 44,000.
Yes. And the reasons are the same.
Yes.
And did you query why this is so? Why were you getting 2 letters? on behalf
Without
of-
going to Mr. Divan Fleming, and because I did go to SAMDP, that was interesting also. I went to SAMDP, I took this because SAMDP is supposed to be shareholding in MedScheme. I thought things would be easy. Then one doctor went to represent me, which I did not, and then the result was that I must sign some acknowledgement before he pays me, otherwise I may take him to court. So I didn't want to sign that acknowledgement. I don't know what I had to sign, but my representative said, Divan says you must come and sign something, then he will pay back. Otherwise you may take him to court. So I didn't accept that offer because I wanted my options to remain open. I had been aggrieved. I'm still feeling aggrieved even now.
Sign what? An acknowledgement of
Eh, eh,
what?
eh, I don't know, to sign that I agree to be paid, paid out or something like that. I agree that I must go to Devon and sign that I agree that he will pay, so that I don't afterwards, when he pays me back and he puts me, that I don't afterwards take legal action against him. That was exactly what my colleague, the reporter colleague, came back with.
Now, did you contact all of these patients and they refused to give? I mean, if one is to be fair to MedScheme and to say, look, what they're trying to check is to verify if your services were rendered, and they've given you the names and the member numbers. So, I mean, the
Yes,
other
yes,
answer
all
is, well,
of them.
the simple thing to do is just give them the records,
It's not simple.
Mm.
It's not simple to give records. If somebody is admitted to hospital, like I was giving an example, if you are admitted and your friends visit you, when somebody pages through your clinical records, it's not nice. You would rather your clinical, that's a private thing. And it's the dignity of the patient who's lying there in bed, whose records are being, that is not done. I would like it to be done to me. I don't want it to be done to my patients without proper cause.
Dr. Ngcukaitobi, I see from your affidavit that you've received these letters from MedScheme and Bonitas, but you've often replied by way of telephone conversations. So we don't have often, we've got your affidavit which explains what you said, but would you be able to provide us with some kind of indication of when the telephone calls took place, so that we understand that clearly?
I wrote to them. I think I've got this one from AFA and Solution, where I was just trying to say, please, my patients, and then I wrote to them again, but I was writing mostly to IPA, and then I did respond to the first letter to Mr. Divan Fleming. But in my response, I responded to the email. I could check that as well. I responded the same day. The same day I received it, I responded to say that he had no right to ask me that information.
It is important that we have a full set of the communications. So if you could fill in the gaps where they are, that would be
yes,
great.
I will say sure that I think I've got it. I will give it to you.
How did the IPA get your payments reinstated when they were suspended in February?
I do not know how they did, because Senate Bota from IPA would write me in notes, like in April 17, says, just to keep you updated, our board of directors are in the process of trying to come up with a solution for you. The first one is that, thank you, I've sent it to our board of directors for their urgent perusal. So I kept saying that. But after the final letter, I sent them a long letter again. I never got a response now. I think they had also given up. I kept phoning and trying to remind them. But the first time they were successful and got me a payment.
That's what I'm trying to understand is what was the communication between them and MedScheme which made MedScheme to reinstate your payment?
Because that's how things were supposed to go. IPA was, the contract with MedScheme was held by IPA. So that was the proper channel.
Now maybe the best thing is if you could also just get some communication between IPA and MedScheme, which resulted in the reinstatement of your payment.
I did. I wrote letters to IPA again. Or to get. Oh, okay.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say, or would you like your patients to step in at this stage?
I would like my patients to step in. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's start with the lady here on the right. You know, we didn't arrange interpreters. Perhaps we should have. Nevertheless, let's see how far we go. You can tell us your story. Start from the beginning.
My name is Mabalwa Sikiti. I've been Dr. Ngombela's patient since 1999. I was working for the retail shops then, using money or cash payments. But when I had a medical aid in 2015, I stayed Dr. Ngombela's patient. I am a chronic patient. And when all this started, it was in 2018, in July. I went for my regular checkup, and I was told by the assistant at the surgery that Dr. Ngombela is not taking Bonita's patients anymore. And I asked them why. Because she has been removed from the list of doctors that are used by MedScheme. And then I asked, what am I gonna do? And they said to me, you have to call Bonitas. I went home that day, and the following morning, I phoned Bonitas, asked them about this. My doctor has been removed, and I've used the same doctor. And the lady that answered me on the phone said to me, well, she has been removed. And then I asked her, can I ask why? She said to me, no, I cannot tell you that. But what you can do, you can find a doctor. And make sure that you ask for the practice number as well, so that when we do our check, we can be able to tell you that she's on our list of doctors or not. And that week, I did not do anything. The following week, I started checking for the doctors that I can use. And one doctor who once visited our workplace, that was for something else. She visited us for something else, but I decided to check up on her. They gave me the practice number. I phoned Bonitas again. This is the doctor that I've found, and this is the practice number that I've been given. And they said, yes, she is on our list of doctors. And then I went to the doctor. I'm not gonna lie. That whole experience was devastating for me, because I'm going to a new doctor. She doesn't know anything about me. And I have to sit in front of that woman or man, tell her that this is my situation, because I want you to be my new doctor. Now I have to be the one to tell her what's going on. Nevertheless, I went to the surgery. I registered. The doctor arrived. I had all my scripts in my bag. And I just put my scripts like that. This is my situation. And then she read all of them and asked me, what do you want me to do for you? I explained to her that I'm Dr. Ngombela's patient. And she has been removed from the list. I'm not sure if you are going to be my doctor or not, because right now, if I could change a medical aid, I would, as we speak. But unfortunately, I had to wait for the 1st of October for me to be able to change medical aid. All right, because I only had two options. It was either I change my medical doctor, whom I have used for years, or change the medical aid. And then as we spoke with the lady, she said, shame, I've heard that she has been removed and because of ABC, what she has had. You know what? I've had the same problem. Medical aids don't pay us. Do you know that? I said, no. I ended up going to a hospital because of depression. They are frustrating us. And I was like, we all go to these doctors. They help us, and they help us a lot. They are not counselors. They are just GPs. But they go through with you even on a personal level. That alone builds a relationship with your doctor. And when I heard that, I was like, these doctors are going through a lot and we are not even aware what they go through. To cut the long story short, she helped me. And at the same time, she advised me, why don't you cancel your medical aids? Stop using medical aid. How much is it deducting from your salary? Then Bonitas was deducting about 1,621 on a monthly basis. And she said, why don't you try save money? At least save 500 a month. Maybe you will be able to come to a doctor, to come for a visit with your own money rather than using the medical aids. Because 1,600 and you don't get sick more often. And I said, yes, I don't get sick. I don't get sick. I don't usually visit a doctor. I visit a doctor when I have flu or just for my checkup. And I said, I would think about that. And then I left. And how I felt about the whole situation. One, I felt bullied because there was nothing I could do. I felt undermined as the one who is paying, because it's my money that's paying all this. And yet they didn't even have the decency to call me or send me an email that, Sisi, can you please try and find another doctor in time, because the one that you've been using, we have removed from our list. That's all I can say.
Thank you. I think let's come to this side. How are we going to do this? What language do you want to use? Yeah, I knew. And you? Yeah, all right. The problem is that we don't have interpreters, and these proceedings are held in English. Anyway, you speak in your language. I don't want people who speak Afrikaans to come here and insist on speaking Afrikaans, and that's why I don't want to create a precedent that we gave special permission to African language speakers. So if you can speak English, then I would say you should, unless you can't speak English, in which event I would allow Mrs. Close.
I will mix.
All right, so I'll try English. Let's see how that goes. Switch on the microphone.
First, the greetings to all the people in front of me. As I've introduced myself, I'm Phumeza George Mdusanto. I've been a patient for Dr. Ngcukaitobi for the past 18 years. Firstly, I would like to refer this to my med scheme, of which is Polmed. not to consult me in due time so that I can organize a scheme before I already knew that Dr. Ngcukaitobi was no longer paid by the scheme. As I was told that Dr. Ngcukaitobi is not getting paid by the scheme, I've went to Dr. Ngcukaitobi and I've asked her as to reason why is she not getting paid. At that time, she did not know what was the actual reason. I think it was around March 2018 when I consulted him. I went for consultation. That's when she told me this. When I became aware of this, I was angry with my medical aid. Because normally, they do furnish me with the emails and the correspondence, or which the letters that they wrote to me, if ever there are any changes with the medical aid, or else there will be changes for medical aid. Then I've decided to call my med scheme. I called Palmet and I spoke to a man of which she could not furnish me with the reason as to why Dr. Ngcukaitobi is removed from the list. The only thing that he told me that I should organize another doctor because she won't be on the list until further notice. And she advised me to go back and ask the reason from Dr. Ngcukaitobi, of which I did for the second time now. And Dr. Ngcukaitobi could not answer me because she did not know at that particular moment. I then called again. I was furnished with a list of doctors, of which it was a 15 list of doctors. There was 14 white doctors, including one doctor, Dr. Stemba, of which is a black doctor. To my knowledge, I know the doctor as a mentally disturbed person as we speak. So I find it racial to be furnished with white doctors and one doctor of which is not in practice, of which
How was this list given to you in writing?
Yeah, it was given to me in writing.
Well, we do need that document that was sent by, was it by Palmet or by MedScheme?
No, it was Palmet.
All right, well, we do need that list then.
So we had an argument about this. I said, why are you racial? Because I believe the white doctor cannot understand. And I will not express as I would express myself to the closer doctors speaking my language. So I found it so racial to refer me to the white doctors, and one doctor that I know here, that is here, is only Dr. Stemba, of which is not in practice and is no longer a doctor. I've seen him on the street mentally disturbed. So I found myself undermined by Palmet, being as a premium payer, because I'm the one who's paying. I deserve to be treated with dignity as a premium payer. Then I was told to lodge my complaint to the CMS, of which is here, of which I did. The response that I get here, when I lodged my complaint, I was told it was March then. I was told...
When did you lodge the complaint?
It was March.
March of which year?
2018. It was March 2018 then. Then I was told that my complaint, I think I will get someone to attend to my complaint during September month. At that time, my treatment as a chronic patient was about to finish. Then I asked for the reason as to why does it take so long.
Did you lodge the complaint in writing?
In writing, yes.
Do you have a copy of the complaint? Can you provide it to us?
No, apparently I didn't bring it with me now, but I can email you
Okay,
at some stage
thanks.
if needed be.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Continue. You asked why you would only get a response in September.
Yes. But eventually I was phoned last year in November, not even September. I was not given the reason as to why, because they say there's a lot of complaints that are accumulating from CMS, so it might be one of the reasons. And I was given a person who was going to be in charge, who's going to be dealing with my complaint. That person phoned me and tell me that he is nominated as a person that is going to be dealing with my complaint, and is going to
Was
tell
a CMS official?
a CMS official, yes.
And what was the name of the person?
No, I can't recall by now. I cannot recall now. So I told him about my complaint, and about I told him that I wanted the reason as to why my doctor is been removed from the list of doctors. He said he's going to take my complaint further, and he's going to phone me back. Up until now, I was not phoned. So during that period of each March, I was told by Parliament that I must pay Dr. Ngumbela, and then they're gonna claim to the medical aid. You see, I told them that at times it is hard for me to have cash to go to the doctor, of which I'm a chronic patient, of which it will disadvantage me at times, and I will end up ending with no treatment when most needed. They say they can't do otherwise. So I mean to say, I asked them whether they do not care about the only thing that they do care for me is about the premiums that they deduct out of my salary. Remember, Polmed is a compulsory medical aid that you have to. You don't have alternative medical aid that you can take, because it's compulsory. It's compulsory for us to have only one medical aid, that is Polmed. So it was another disadvantage for me. It was not easy for me to get another medical aid in order for me to have my doctor back. And I was reluctant due to the fact that I've been to other doctors. The treatment that you get, it is not the same. We are differ in customs and beliefs. I mean to say, as Xhosa people. Dr. Ngumbela knew all about everything about me, including my children, my dependents that are on my medical aid. Remember, I had children. I also have dependents that are on the medical aid, of which they are children, of which they've got complications as much as I do, because I'm a chronic patient. So I felt so disadvantaged by the scheme that has removed Dr. Ngumbela. Up until now, I still don't have a doctor that I can say is my doctor, that knows my history, my medical history, up until now. But Dr. Ngumbela advised me to have my scripts so that I can go to another doctor that can understand me better. Of which I did. During a month period, I was sitting without medication because I was reluctant to go to another doctor, of which during that period, anything might have happened. I might have stroke, I might have anything. I could have been dead by then, due to the fact that I was disadvantaged by the medical aid. So I suffered this up until now. It took me 4 weeks to get my medical, because my medical aid has to be requested from the pharmacy, of which the doctor didn't know what to do, you see. And I told him the way Dr. Ngombela was doing it. And so the medication was delivered at his premises. So apparently it took me 4 weeks to have my medication back. So I am still
And
not
where
happy.
was that doctor's practice, or is that doctor's practice?
It's Dr. Quinana.
Where is it located?
He's located, I think, is in Oxford. He's in town.
In
He's in CBD. He's in town. So, Dr. Ngombela will go as much as far as your home if a person is not able to go by his visiting. Is not doing like any doctor. I don't ever heard any doctor that is doing that. So those are the kind of things that the Xhosa people, we believe in. She goes an extra mile as far as to go and visit, to show that his care. That means it builds confidence, and it builds that relationship between you and her. So I find it very hard for me in 18 years' time to change a doctor. It's like I was divorcing with my wife, of which I had 25 years with. Children will be raised by a single woman. That will lead those children to be on the streets, to commit robberies and murders, of which we are facing today.
Can we go back to the story? Is there anything you want to add on the way in which Polmed treated you and what impact that had on you?
Yes, it does have an impact, because anything might have happened during that period that I had no treatment as a chronic patient. Up until I feel like disadvantaged, because the things that I used to get from Dr. Ngombela, I'm still not getting it from the current doctor that I'm using.
Doctor, sorry to interrupt. The new doctor, does this doctor have the same qualifications as Dr. Ngombela in relation to treating certain chronic illnesses? Do you know?
Apparently, I will not go as much far because I don't know. The only thing that I know, he's a qualified doctor.
All right, thank you. Unless you have anything else to add.
No, that is my submissions.
Thank you very much. And let's start with, well, you are the last.
Oh, my name is Boisile Pani from East London. I'm the patient of Dr. Ngombela.
It's P-A-N-I.
P-A-N.
Okay, but you pronounce it as
But what is happening there?
as Pan.
Because they say, you say Pani, people from there in Home Affairs, they forget to put the I there at the back. They said, you want to put that I must bring an ox. I But that's I'm gonna ask to put in there to get that thing.
That also happened to my father, but it was not Home Affairs. It was the priest.
Yes.
When he went to register his name, they took out the Y. Yeah.
Those
Anyway,
people, they Peter, some of the people now, they take our people, the black people now. It's supposed to get the old pay, but they cut off the yes, those people. But they come there. That I was joined Bonitas on the 1st of 2012. As a person who every month contributed to the salaries.
yeah, if you could just step back from the microphone. Yeah,
okay.
we can hear it. Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Okay. As a person who paid the salaries of the people for Bonitas every month, 2,500 a month in my subscription in my company. I think me as a principal of Bonitas. The Bonitas, if want to do something about me, they're supposed to consult me in time with a duration of 1 month to 3 months, in a duration of 1 month to 6 months, if not to give me some praises as some person who pays their salaries. Last year, on July, I go to Dr. Ngumbela. I was very sick. I'm got the flu. My legs is not good. When I come to Dr. Ngumbela, we found that Bonitas is terminated. Is terminated the contract to Dr. Ngumbela. One question I asked the first time I heard that thing. As the principal of Bonitas, who pay them 2,500 every month, why they terminated the contract of Ngumbela without consulting me as the principal? Now it showed me, they treat me as the object, like this glass I'm holding. That time I'm very sick. I can be, because the way I'm got the flu, I can fall in front of Dr. Ngumbela. Maybe can be died. But the board of Bonitas, they don't care about us as a black people. They don't care about us. Because when I go to Dr. Ngumbela, I speak my language with the Xhosa. But when I come there, that doctor they send me, I'm supposed to speak English. Some that the new doctor they give me after 4 months without treatment. That was supposed to speak English. And I'm supposed to go, the doctor that I want, Dr. Ngumbela, because Xhosa is one of our 12 languages in South Africa. Now, when I go there, I'm one on the list that of the patient, who's 71 patient, who has a chronic disease, who is treated by Dr. Ngumbela, as backdated from the 1st 12 to 2012. From that time after coming there, I was supposed to walk. I'm very sick that time. When I go out to Dr. Ngumbela, I go to the people from Bonitas, their office. Mr. Ngumbela is in Plaza. I supposed to walk about 20 kilometers from Plaza to Vincent. At that time, I was sick. To go there, ask why that the principal of Bonitas, who gives the salaries to the directors and the board of Bonitas, not inform in 1 month's time to 6 months' time before they can terminate the contract of Dr. Ngumbela as the principal. When I go with them, they said that. I said them to the administrators from Bonitas, from Vincent, that I'm not happy the way they treat me like an object, like this bottle of water in front of me. They're supposed to consult me in time from 1 day to 6 months before they can terminate the contract of Dr. Ngumbela, and give me a time to give my opinion that I'm happy now to terminate the contract of Dr. Ngumbela as their principal. Chronic patient is difficult to tell all the doctors from Eastern Cape that I'm a chronic patient. Then I'm supposed to tell Ngumbela to take them some blood test. It means that I can go to all the doctors from Eastern Cape to ask some, can you take me? When I'm going there with my option, bone cap, they said to me, this option you're taking is too cheap. You must have 100 rand in front or 500. But when I go to Dr. Ngumbela is representing the working class. No 100 rand they can ask to me. But the disadvantage they tell in Vincent that must go to Dr. Van der Merwe. I was supposed to walk from my area from Brylin, another 20 kilometers. I walk from Brylin to Vincent, 20 kilometers, and I'm sick that time. I must walk from Vincent to town, another 20 kilometers to go to this doctor. They call Dr. Van der Merwe. When I got this doctor to Dr. Van der Merwe, they request for me, then they need 100 rand up front. It is a difficult time that time. I'm sick because in my work, I'm not paid yet. I'm supposed to wait. You see? I'm supposed to wait to get paid to consult the Dr. Van der Merwe. And that Dr. Van der Merwe, that time, I'm supposed to look because they said to the doctors, my option, bone cap is too cheap. I must the whole Eastern Cape doctors, can you take this is my option? All of them. Because of the tactic of bone cap. At night, I'm not sleep because I'm going to go depressed and stressed. If I ask my question, if I'm fallen in front of Dr. Ngumbela at that time and find that Bonitas cannot take any terminate contract, if I'm died that time, what can I do that time? At that time, they do that time in July in 2018. In that time, we get that things about the life of a city man. When we can find that the life of the black people is treated like this class. How can you terminate the contract of the patient who have a contract with Dr. Ngumbela? We not give him a chance to 1 day, to 6 months, to look another doctor who can give to the 100% treatment like Dr. Ngumbela. If I cannot treatment for 4 months because I'm going all over for the doctors to look which doctor can take me for this cheap option bone cap. Now, I found that after this thing, I get a doctor in Buffalo Flats. Then they in that time they terminate the contract to Dr. Ngumbela. In that time, I had to renew my blood test from Dr. Ngumbela. Now I must have to go to all the doctors from Eastern Cape to test my blood test, to know my blood. Chronic condition is a private. Is a privacy. Nobody can know about your blood condition. It's suppose you and your wife, if in your family, you cannot tell about your medical health, because tomorrow you can have somebody in the shipping can talking about your healthiness. In these places like Dr. Ngumbela, Dr. Ngumbela employ about 20 people there. They're working there in his place, in his GP. Now I must go there. Those people from Dr. Ngumbela, they employed. They know my chronic state. Now I'm supposed to go another doctor Dr. Van der Merwe. Dr. Van der Merwe to Dr. Van der Merwe, another 20 person to check my blood test, to know my status, my health status. Now even now, 40 people now, they can know about my health status. Now tomorrow, you can go there in the shipping, everybody talking, is drinking, talking about my health status. That's why I say that I'm very interested to see the board of governors of these bonitas schemes, because I want to see their structure is a democratic representation. As you see in front of you is democratic representation in front of me, all of the three. Because how can people, Mr. Ngumbela is there, about 100 villages, King Williamstown, Kumra, Kisbish, more people there. Some of them, the old person who are trading there. How those people now, they can treat the life of the black people like the way they treat us. Because it means that for 4 months without treatment, it means that we cannot care about our health like the way the government of Gauteng, they do in our counter patient, the black people there in Gauteng. They think they remain there in one time there in Ngaka. What they doing there? The white farmers of South Africa, what they doing? They said all the black people now, they must kill. They must kill their black pigs. And give advantage to the white farmers to record the white pigs. In order that they say that they must kill the black pigs without testing. This black pigs is ill. To give an advantage to the black farmers to be rich. Is the way they did to Dr. Ngumbel. When I come there in Vincent, they give one doctor must go. Dr. Van der Merwe. Why don't you give me another doctor, another black doctor to go there to treat me for my chronic condition? Must take the money from Dr. Ngumbel to enrich the white doctor, Dr. Van der Merwe. Now, in the other side, in that time when we were coming there in Vincent, I asked them, why do you terminate the contract of Dr. Ngumbel? They take this, they were the administrators. They talk about bad things about Dr. Ngumbel. We found that all those things with Dr. Ngumbel in the file, nothing they got there, those administrators in Vincent, is there Dr. Ngumbela is emphasizing in his statement. It shows that there's a strategy now to the bonitas scheme to enrich the white doctors in the expense of the black doctors, Dr. Ngumbel. They use us, our money, our 2,500 is our expense. Now, what can I say now to this place now? We want them to reinstate the med scheme, to reinstate Dr. Ngumbela's contract back. Then we can able to go to Dr. Ngumbela to explain our sickness with our mother tongue, Xhosa. You see? It's time to go there. We can go to Dr. Van der Merwe. Why don't we tell all the whole story to Dr. Van der Merwe? Cannot give the whole story because it is a problem of language. You see? That's why we said that we're here. That scheme, Bonitas, supposed to be dissolved. Because I've got no confidence with them. They were the racist. They wanted the white doctors to be rich more than Dr. Ngumbela. They want to use our 2,500 to enrich the white doctors. Therefore, we said that this commission, all to Dr. Ngumbela, the bonitas scheme was supposed to be punished. That time, I don't know how many black patients they were coming in. Dr. Ngumbela did not get their service. Maybe of them cannot able to come this commission and explain what is happening to them. So maybe some of them they are died because not yet Uhuru. Because the black people now, they were treating like their life like this glass of water in front of me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've noted the things you've been saying. Some of them are common, but others are unique, but we've noted them. Dr. Ngumbela, I must come back to you because you've now come to the end of this testimony. So if you have any closing remarks to make.
I can't talk too much about the financial impact. 60% of my patients were from med scheme, of course, and this had grave financial impacts on me. As my patients have said, it has an impact on my image as an elder or a mother in the community, because now they give an impression that I'm dishonest, I'm a crook. And like my last patient just said, they need to be punished for all that they have done. And to be honest, I feel, in my case, if they thought they wanted those records and I wasn't forthcoming in bringing them, they could have obtained consent from the patients. If they thought the patients they have access to the patients, they can email them, they can phone them, they can fax them. If there's anything, all things are easy to prove. And I feel that something has to be done.
Can you just tell me, I'm sure we can get the information elsewhere. So one patient says that they were given the name of Van der Merwe, who practices from Vincent. The other says they were given 15 names, only one of whom was black, and that black person was mentally disturbed. What is the composition of the population of doctors in East London? Is it impossible to find?
There are many black practitioners, but they're dwindling now because of these problems, which I realize that they've been affecting everybody. And for there to be a list of 15 to 1, that is an obvious bias. There are more black practitioners than white practitioners, much more black practitioners than white practitioners in East London.
Is there anything else you want to add? Is that all?
No.
All right, thank you very much. I guess siyanibulela ke banisuke eMonti nizonika ubungqina le commission.
Thank you.
Sizaw aba bantu bahleli phaya kwelacala bazawucontacta nani ke emva kokubana sigqibile namhlanje.
Undicele into encinci nje. I think abayazi ba ezinye, excuse me, my patients that did not know that some of the commission is open, or they didn't understand that. Somebody may have, without meaning it, said something about their health and so on that's not supposed to be public. Can the videos be cut or something like that?
Yeah, I did note that with the last patient that there were disclosures that were probably inadvertent. So we will look into that. But I noted it because, yes. Unless there's someone else you're talking about, because I noted the connection to 71, so that is the problem.
Yes. I think that just everything needs to be checked.
Yeah. Okay,
The
no,
evidence
that's
of
fine.
patients needs to be checked.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We will address. All right, we'll adjourn until 12.